I see. This is theirs that they're going to kick off.
Okay, Mark, I'm going to switch over. Do you see a white screen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So that should be good. So if we go over here.
Okay, there you are. Perfect.
So, okay, so here we can go through maybe the content. So we have the goal is to have about 40 slides for a 40-minute presentation. So we're following the title on here. So introductions about the two presenters. Here's the outline. So we have a short section at the beginning. You know, you can maybe tell us whether or not you feel this is not appropriate for this presentation. We were sort of connecting.
Yeah. Okay, we'll have Mike.
I know there's a separate, at first it was like, we thought there was maybe two presentations at the same time, then it's like with a separate one. I didn't know if you still wanted, I mean, we're not going to spend too much time on that, but.
You guys hear me now?
Okay, we can hear you, Mike. I can hear you now.
All right, I don't know what's going on today. It's really weird. I was trying to use a headset, but because it's so much cleaner. But hey, Mark, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
And Luis is there too?
And Luis is on also.
Yep.
Okay, hey guys.
I think we're just missing Eric, but that's.
Well, I think he knew he was going to be, he had some commitment.
Oh, okay. So now we have, Mark has their presentation up and kind of going through the slides that he has.
So yeah, so on the screen is our outline. So we had a question in the beginning. We were going to have a couple of slides just talking about the connection between BIM and virtual design and construction and lean. I don't know if maybe this is superfluous or detracting from the goal of the presentation, and we could delete that, I guess. I mean,
the only advice I can give you there really is, you know, it's obviously an owner's, you know, it's geared towards owners, and it's, you know, we want to try to tie it to design build like best practices, Mark, and those, you know, honestly are sort of like the basic backdrop, and then it's sort of, it's an educational series, so you can certainly kind of take it where you want to take it, and as long as we kind of, you know, can kind of tie it to that, I guess. So, you know, I think you're probably doing that. So.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go through maybe we'll go through the slides and you can decide, you know, from a space. I mean, we're not going to spend much time on it. I know people are based on the synopsis, I guess, or the title of the presentation. They're really looking about, you know, hey, what are we using with 3D goggles? And so if we spend too much time talking about lean, that's going to be like, well, that's not really the topic of that. So anyway, it was more of an intro thing. So we have that. Then we're talking about 3D scanning, where they're on existing conditions.
I'm sorry for interrupting. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I figured it out. I just had to turn my speakers off.
Oh, okay. I think Eric is logged in. Eric, hi. Good morning.
Yeah.
Hey, I thought you were out today. Are you there? Uh-oh.
Hello? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Eric.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to be leaving in just a few minutes. Morning, gentlemen.
Just a quick morning. How you doing, Eric?
Good.
I have just a question on the purpose of today's trial run. Are we going to go over the presentation and the direction that we're taking, and then talk about the handoffs and how all that's going to work?
Yeah, I have a suggestion. Irene, I wonder if we couldn't just start with our standard screen, and then and then explain to them how the handoff works, and they'll get a much better feel for like the day of, this is what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can do that.
So Mark and Luis, what typically happens is we like to get on the webinar and get it all set up and confirm everything around 11:30 or 11:25. We'll say 11:30, okay? And so then we validate that all the technology is working, and we kind of do a couple practice handoffs, and then we know we're all set, right? So we're not in a complete panic, right, going into 12 o'clock. And Irene, what will happen, she'll do a countdown right at 12 o'clock, right when we're getting ready to go live. And then I'll come on and do an intro. Are you trying to get back to, there you go. Irene's going to get back to the screen that will be up at the very beginning. There we go.
Okay, here's me.
Right, and so let's just walk through this real quick.
We'll just go through.
So I do this intro. Go ahead, Irene. Touch on the agenda. And then I introduce
Is
Eric.
everybody else getting audio?
Yeah, can you hear it?
Yes.
Eric?
We can too.
Now I can.
Yeah, we can see it.
Are you with us, Eric? Can you hear me? I don't think Eric can hear me.
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay, there we go.
Okay. So at any rate, then we typically introduce Eric. Eric gets introduced, and then we go through these mission slides. Irene, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, but I think there's still something wrong here. Eric?
Something's going on.
Currently, Eric is the only one that cannot hear.
Mm-hmm. Because I can hear everyone fine.
All right, so I don't think Eric can hear me, but I can hear Luis and Marc okay, and you. Wow, okay, so.
Anything, you're cutting in and out.
Huh.
Okay, I think it's
why don't, Irene, in light of that.
I hear it now.
Okay, you can hear me, Eric?
It just cuts in and out.
Eric, you're cutting out in and out.
He's the one that's cutting out, yes.
I think it's Eric's connection because she's chopped.
Oh, okay. Well, let me just go on.
Okay, well,
and if I don't know, Irene, if Eric can hear you, maybe you just mention to him that he's the one that's choppy and we're having a hard time.
I think he just logged off now. He may try logging back on again.
Oh, okay.
Just to see.
All right. So Eric is kind of walking through this owner's alert slide that's up there. Then he does the save the date, and he chats a little bit about this, does a little intro to the board, encourages people to join the board if they want. Here's website information, and then it gets to this, and I think I come back on at this point for the Design Build 101. And as you can see here, it's sort of like the year-long series, and it's the concepts, Design Build done right. And then this, this is a little bit of a dated screen now, and then we get to you guys, and then I'll do like a bio introduction, which is why I needed your bios. And as this screen is up and I'm talking, then Irene will be working on handing you guys handing over electronically. And so you would be taking the screen at this point. So Irene, if you want to walk them through that. So then this comes up while I'm trying to finish. We try to time it to where I'm finishing the introduction. And then.
Okay, so I just handed over.
There we go.
Perfect.
There we go. And you guys take it. And then usually it's timed in such a way, that, it's like, thank you, Mike and Eric, for the introduction. And then you basically take it from here. Now, I will be right when I'm handing over. Some of the things I'll say to the audience is the webinar, the GoToWebinar format has the ability for the audience to send questions in. electronically, and Eric will be receiving those. He sort of looks at them, he sort of vets them, and then you guys will go through your presentation. We'll get to the end of the presentation, and then Eric will moderate that. And I serve the purpose of pretty much just kind of, if I think that I can help with a response from an owner's perspective, since I'm an owner, then I'll do that. But generally, it's you guys kind of replying to the questions as they're fed to you from Eric, and then we'll get to the point where we'll either run out of time or we'll run out of questions, and Eric will recognize that, and then he just kind of turns it back over to me for just a couple minor closing comments, and you know, and then we end. So that's the, you know, the real basics of it. Okay. So I guess Marc and Luis, I'll turn it back over to you right now to just kind of walk us through what you've got here, and you know, if we've got any critique that we think that will help, we'll throw it out.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mike and Eric. Harry. So here, so we'll just walk you through. We started a little bit on this. Let's see. So we can maybe skip that one. So this is the outline for the presentation that we talked about. We have a little section in the beginning concerning lean. We might decide to remove that if we feel it's not as appropriate or applicable.
Yeah, after the explanation, I think it makes sense to have the intro be about BIM in design build, and maybe we could show them a cleaning curve and how pulling all that effort up front, right? Because that's really what.
Yeah, I think Eric would support this, that, you know, inherently lean, you know, they all kind of work together, right? So I mean, it depends on how much of your presentation it kind of gets dominated by lean principles versus design build, right? If it sort of tips the scales, that's one thing, but for you guys to have as a little component of it and talk about sort of lean techniques, there, you know, that's I think welcome, and it would be a good thing for owners to hear. It's not a bad thing necessarily.
No, it's a good fit for sure.
Okay, so we'll walk you through it, and then you can give us some feedback.
So we have a little section on lean, then we talk about 3D scanning, whether it's on existing conditions or as-built for recently completed elements. Then we talk about design authoring, basically BIM done right. So we're following the design build done right slogan. 3D coordination for clash detection resolution, design review. We talk about VR and use of goggles, digital fabrication, and finally AR, augmented reality. So that's the main points. So
this is just a quick, very quick slide that touches on what are the benefits of the lean principles in construction, right? The point is to then go to the next slide and then share the benefits of BIM and how they are extremely similar. The use of BIM kind of leads towards a lean workflow. You go to the next slide. Right, and it just speaks that, you know, they go hand in hand. You can't really do lean without implementing a very good BIM process. Therefore, BIM is inherently a lean tool. And then we have the areas that we're going to highlight, or the different benefits, which is waste, reduce rework, just-in-time delivery, prefab, yada yada yada. Right. This is the Penn State BIM uses, which defines all the BIM uses and where they need to happen to be successful within a project. We're debating on keeping this slide or not. What's that?
It's hard to distinguish things in there.
Okay. So yeah, this one might get scratched then. And we'll jump. The outline does a good job of you know, letting people know what we're going to talk about. So we might nix this one and jump straight into.
in telling the owners, and keep in mind that owners are our audience here, to show the owners how they can interact with this process at the different stages of proposal, design, and so forth. So there's good information there. It's just that with such a small font, I think graphically it just people glaze over with it. But there's good information in here to educate owners into the use of VDC.
Okay, so you're thinking if the graphic was bigger, clearer.
Look at sort of kind of whether we remove the title and all that and make it blow it up, or do you have that in Excel?
That is Excel.
Okay.
I have other ones that it's a lot clearer, so I'll swap it.
Well, I'm wondering because here there's a lot of blanks in between.
Mm-hmm.
So if you deleted all the lines in between, you might be able to blow it up.
Yeah. Sure.
But it's true. The more you look at it, the more I say, well, it's so very important. It really defines all the different uses available for them, and it's not just a one-trick pony, one function. It pretty permeates.
It really adds value to the owners.
Yep. And depending on the kind of owner,
really
right?
Adds value to the owner's experience.
Correct. Okay, so then we go into 3D scanning, existing conditions. So talking about hardware, software, what does it take to do 3D scanning? Then we give examples of when is it conducted. So on the right is an example of an existing condition where facility that was being renovated using 3D scanning to set a baseline and basically create architectural model of the existing conditions. And then on the left side, that was a use for.
So that's just conveying the tool and how it's used, and we'll talk about how you need to move throughout the site and take different scans of point clouds and generate one to convey the big picture. And then we'll have 2 or 3 more examples of a remodel. Existing conditions, applications, and then we'll have some as-built conditions, and we have a use for concrete as well. So we'll have 3 examples of laser scanning. Okay. Then we're going to jump into design authoring.
Now within those,
Eric,
within
you're
those
super
examples,
choppy.
Do you have? I don't know what to say. Let's see if this, within those examples, do you have any stories that you can tell about how the owners benefited or the owners learned something, or, that the project, the owner was able to see something better than they otherwise did?
I mean, I guess in the case, right, I mean, we'll expand more on examples, right? But here, for example, is on McClintock. So by doing 3D scanning, you're actually getting the information that you need. Right. You have more accurate documents, which means more certainty of outcome with the results of the project, because now you have design documents that are more tailored to the conditions of the project and less likely to have surprises about differing site conditions down the road.
Right. So every slide will have a story related to that specific point cloud, from the owner's benefit or the project team. So we'll touch on that.
Good.
So the design authoring, this was going to touch on, where it all starts. The key is that your entire design team work in 3D, that they generate drawings in 3D, so that we can, track. Oh, and then so that we can have a single source of truth. Otherwise, the BIM process is broken if we're not using accurate models from the get-go. Which would lead to then 3D coordination. And here we have an example of a project where on the left-hand side, we have a plumbing design from a plans and specs project. And this is typical to what general contractors or project teams inherit when we're working in the plans and specs job. And on the right, you have all the content that was otherwise missing that would not be missing were it a design build project, right? So you can see there's like at least 50% less pipe. The runs are different, the bends are different, so significant design change, post design. Let's get that. And then here's the same thing on the left-hand side. We have mechanical and plumbing, the file that you saw before. Once you start to aggregate the different systems, you see that on the left-hand side, design, plans and specs, you get the sense that things will fit. You get a sense that there's nothing wrong with the design. But again, on the right, after you develop the construction/fabrication models, in more of a design build scenario, you see that the design is significantly different. Equipment is much larger. The bends, the size of the duct ratio, all of that is significantly different, which creates rework because you're redesigning during construction. So if all this effort can be pulled into design build, early upfront work, you eliminate all that rework and waste. So we have probably one more coordination slide that shows an additional level of coordination, which is once you introduce, other 400 elements such as concrete, rebar, and just how all that comes together nicely. The more you model up front, the better coordinated you'll be. Design review. So this slide, we're going to dump the tools similar to the laser scan, the software, the headset, the goggles that we use. We'll introduce that. And then here we'll show a few examples or case studies of where we have used virtual reality to help inform the owner and the project team on the direction of the design, if the design feels and flows the way they intended to. And this is where Marc's going to jump in and speak to different examples, different case studies.
Yeah, so this is more similar to the ones we did at the DBA regional convention. And so, yeah, we'll give examples of several projects about the use of VR and what the benefits derived by the owner and the team. So in the same vein.
Yeah, more examples, more stories specific to what the benefits were for the owner, for the design team.
Nats.
Yep.
Bathrooms.
So this speaks to digital fabrication. So after we've coordinated and after the owner and the design team have vetted that the space feels the way it should and works the way it should, now we're free to jump into digital fabrication, meaning that if everything's fully coordinated, signed off, and approved by the entire team, you can use that to generate your spool drawings, which then are used to generate, more prefab opportunities. Again, eliminating waste and, more prefab and just-in-time construction if we choose to tie that to lane. Fabricate. So this one we're going to move up to the VR and tie the actual mock-up with the VR, and the fact that they were very similar. For the most part, we saw no difference, and the VR proved to be very useful. And then we're going to end on augmented reality / mixed reality. I will probably eliminate the field BIM and just keep it with augmented reality. But the point here is that after you put in all this effort, you have the ability to QA, QC your design, your building, by combining all these models, walking out to the field with, for example, the HoloLens, and being able to superimpose the model with the work, right? So you can start to look for deviations. Is anyone, not building off the model? Is there an unforeseen issue that we did not take into account once we're up there and, find additional conflicts that weren't identified. And for this, we'll have some images and some slides of that, of one of our guys actually going out there and testing it. We'll probably touch on the fact that this technology is not necessarily fully baked, but this is a direction that it's going, and you know, there is some advantages of implementing this now. And I believe we'll have a few more examples of that. We'll have a video at the end that kind of ties everything together, that I could share with you guys first.
Yeah, if you wanted to, you know, we're on the fence whether that, you know, sometimes videos can be, we're not going to embed it in the presentation because that tends to create issues, but have it separate, and if there's time, maybe we can adjust it. Do you want to start it, see if, or do you have access to it here, or we can send a link to people?
I'll send you a link. I don't want to try to hunt for it right now.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the flow. We'll have lots more examples and more stories specific to each project, but that's the flow.
That's great.
Yeah, I think the content is really good. You know, obviously, guys, we want to make sure that you don't run out of time. That's always a stressful thing for Irene, Eric, and myself, right? Is to we just want to make sure, you know, that you've given yourself enough time to, you know, kind of vet it through yourself, and you know, feel as if you know how you're going to go about this very specifically, so it comes across really as professional as possible. Sure. So, and I'm not saying we don't have confidence that you'll do that. It's just if you could try to, you know, you probably ought to try to do this by Tuesday or Wednesday, right? So you're not finishing it Thursday morning type of thing. But I love the content, and I think this is like what's fascinating to me with this is like I'm currently in my program. I'm getting ready. I'm just doing the RFPs for 3 renovation projects, and so there's a lot of applicability here. Looks like, just in terms of how you capture this stuff digitally. And you know, one of them's a complete gut. The other 2, you know, aren't quite as much. So I'm going to have a lot of folks on my team. I know they're going to be pretty interested in this. So exciting.
Sure. Well, I think we have a couple of things that can be adjusted, right? We'll put in the rest of the pictures and content that we want to, and then we'll adjust, and I think we can either remove some of the slides at the beginning for lean, or, you know, and then decide with a little video. I mean, the video is a couple of minutes, depending, and that could be a sacrificial thing.
Right.
But I think overall with 40 minutes, you know, we can, you know, we'll pace ourselves. We'll have a clock on our side, and adjust depending if things for some reason take a little longer. I mean, we'll do it right around ahead of time, but I think there's enough leeway here to either accelerate certain areas or make it up or focus on others. So
yeah, the way it works out the best seems like is like Eric and I take I would say between 7 and 10 minutes typically, and then it's handed over to you, and then if you finish about 12:45, that's a, you know, good 10 to 15 minutes of Q&A, and that just tends to work fairly decently, because honestly, you know, if we get a bunch of questions, we might get a bunch of kind of weird questions. So sometimes those aren't worth inserting into a response session. And you know, that tends to work fairly well. So it's that 40 minutes it will end up being a really good target, I think, for you. 35 to 40 minutes is perfect, right in there.
Yeah, we should be fine. Go ahead.
Any owner or user feedback, you know, or end user feedback that you get from them having seen this prior to any work going on, you know, just to that's going to be really interesting to Mike's team and other owners who are, you know, looking at their capital improvement programs now.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got to
guys.
run. Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay, Eric, have fun. Hey, guys, I really want to say how much I appreciate your being able to jump in and do this. We know we didn't, typically we have you kind of identified and planned out months ahead, so you aren't kind of put on the spot. But looks like this is well put together, and I think really kind of pretty cool images. Good topic. Anyway, I just am very appreciative of you being able to help us out here and slide this in front of our next month's presenter. So thank you.
Happy to help. Hopefully we can live up to the standard.
Yeah.
So the plan is to finish this up today. Do you want a copy of the finished product? If not today, early Monday morning, or?
Yeah, that'd be great. And we always get one to Irene as well, just for technology safety. If
Yes,
for some
please.
reason you guys can't, I don't know, something weird happens, right? Then we at least have that backup in a different location, and that's why I like to have it, just so I can. And of course, I keep them all. Oh, the other thing is as a rule, we have taken these presentations and we put them in a little owners forum portal on the Western Pacific Region's website for people. So we basically post them, but we always ask if the presenter has any objection to us doing that.
No, that's fine. We'll put it. So I was thinking we should probably print it the PDF as another backup.
Yeah.
This way, if all fails, at least usually sifting through a PDF at least usually works more reliably. So
yeah,
do a PDF for that as a backup.
Perfect. Doing both is
Yeah,
good.
that's a good idea. Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, as far as what's posted on are you posting the PPT or are you posting a PDF?
Irene, do you know?
A PDF we're posting.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I would prefer that's okay. To do a PDF only. So
Yeah.
Okay, doke. Sounds good. Anything else?
No. Appreciate it again, and if you guys think of anything you need, just give us a call.
So on Thursday next week, Mike,
Yep.
so we'll just log in at 11:30?
Yep.
Is that what you would like?
Yeah. Let's just, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys can kind of mute yourselves if you have to, take a bio break and you have to just, maybe nibble on something. It's sort of a casual open mic discussion, and then when we get a little closer, we'll do our practice right away, and then you'll have a break to get up and walk around. But at least we're all logged in. We're all, ready to go. And Irene wants to know that so she can make sure that she's the organizer, and we all kind of have to log in through her. So I think that'll work, Irene, if we do that.
Okay. Yeah. I usually log in a few minutes before 11:30, so I'll be on.
Awesome. Excuse me. Okay.
Sounds good. Well, thank you very much for the walkthrough, and have a great weekend.
All right. Same to you guys.
Okay. Thank you, Marc and Louise.
Thank you.
Still there, Irene?
Yes, I'm logging off right now.
Okay. We got everything else good?
I think everything, everything's good.
I'm thinking about for next month, then Victor Sanvito.
Okay.
I've got to make sure I get his bio and picture in for the advertising. Gloria's on vacation, right?
She is. She's been on vacation this week and next week.
Okay.
But
So,
just send it to and we'll get started on it. So
okay.
don't worry about that.
Very good. Very good. Okay. I'll talk to you later then.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.